Just gonna sit down and listen to the new Lorna Shore album from... Oh, wait, never mind. My computer's gone. Looks like I can't listen to it now.
I think you'll be okay.
You know how long I had to wait after that? 4 days. Let's get in this review. Before we start this review, first of all, I want to thank the Noise Cartel for sending me an advanced promo. I've had this thing for almost a month now, and I got a chance to listen to this thing over 10 times, so I think I got an idea what I want to say about this album, so you know who you are. Thank you again so much. First off, a little bit of context. When I was a kid, one of my favorite movies was Fantasia. In the very beginning, where the conductor stands on the podium and starts moving his arms around and all those colors start flashing out of his hands, because it kind of looked like that when you're a kid. It's just one of those moments that I just loved as a child, and I always imitated. I used to stand on this red car and I used to wave my hands around like I was conducting, and this album brought back that energy from when I was a kid, because the orchestral elements in this reminds me of Fantasia, reminds me of any of those really epic movies with the epic soundtrack, like Lord of the Rings or a Hans Zimmer or whatever you like. This album has what I was looking for, and it might have what you are looking for too. To me, it's just still fantastic after the 10th or 11th time. The album is about an hour long, but when you listen to it all together in one sitting, and have no distractions of any kind, it really doesn't feel like an hour has passed. Vocally, this album's gonna go down in deathcore and possibly in metal as some of the most insane, most dynamic vocals in metal. Will Ramos just does everything on this album. Not only does he scream, he growls. I love his higher shrieks. That's one of my personal favorites. He can also sing. There isn't much singing on this album, but Pain Remains Part 1 has this little spoken little part into it that's just really cool, and I would actually like to see in future material Will experimenting with clean vocals, but right now this right here just does it for me. Guitar wise, it's always going, it's always melodic, it's always infectious with every song you listen to. Drumming wise, same thing. Production on this thing is tight. There are a couple of times where it gets a little drowned out by the orchestral elements, but for me personally, that doesn't bug me. I think what you have here with the production and the sound, it just works. It's a very well cohesive sound, and it doesn't feel forced, because I've always felt that some of the other symphonic deathcore bands are always missing something, and this album for me has everything that I've been looking for in symphonic music and in metal. My favorite track on here has to be the opener. It has this homage to the track Immortal with the choir chorus from there, which I still think sounds like Feeding My Mongoose. I wish I knew what it actually says. If anyone actually knows what it's actually saying in English, please let me know. I'd be very curious. I'm very curious to know what the actual phrasing is. Immortal was a great album, but this one just punches it right in the dick. It's just that much better, that much heavy, and that much dynamic. Now, if there are some things, this album isn't perfect, but if there was one or two things on this album I might have changed, the rearranging from Sun Eater to Curse to Die, because to me, Curse to Die sounds a more stripped down version of Sun Eater. It kind of blends together way too much, and it kind of sounds like one giant song. Maybe that's what it's supposed to be, but for me, it just didn't work for me. And again, there's sometimes where the orchestra will drown out the guitars or the drums, but people will nitpick at that themselves. To me, it doesn't bug me as much, but after that, I wouldn't change anything else on this album. Guitars are non-stop melodic and catchy and heavy. the drums just won't stop going. I like to know how you can drum like that and not hurt your arms. I know the drummer has some back issues or whatnot, but still, how could you not have like really bad arm pain after drumming this whole entire album or a tour live? I'm very curious because I'm gonna see the band next month in concert. I'm definitely curious how that's gonna sound. Whether you like it or not, Pain Remains will go down in history in metal. Like years from now, people will be talking about your Slayer, your Metallica, and then they'll be talking about this album. Because even people who don't like metal have been checking out Lorna Shore and enjoying it, which I think is really cool. I'm not a total gatekeeper, so I'm all for people checking out this album, listening to it, even though they don't listen to metal. Maybe they'll go back and listen to other stuff and start checking out other different bands. Let's talk about the cover art. It's considered very controversial, but once you go on the internet and look up the context of this album, plus watch the music video for Pain Remains Part 2, you'll understand why this image is actually a very good choice for this album. So, to describe this album, it's, to me, Fantasia meets metal. It's epic, it's dynamic, it's different, it's fresh. Lyrics are fantastic from what I can tell. And Will Ramos just brings up Lorna Shore up another level. The musicianship was always fantastic on Lorna Shore's end, but adding Will Ramos was just probably the best choice they could make at this point in their career, especially with this album. So I just want to say, I want to see an animated feature with Lorna Shore's music at some point, like Night of Bald Mountain or something, but a little more brutal or a little more adult. I don't know, something like that. So I give this album a solid 9 out of 10, and if you like this review, you can check me out at Metal Theory Radio. Thanks again for the Noise Cartel for sending me an advance promo of this album. Check me out also on Total Deathcore. Description in the bottom below for more reviews and reactions coming soon. That is it. Stay metal, and later.